Preview for 2026 on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Kalshi. Yes, make real money predicting sports, people. Kalshi is available in all 50 states, and you get $20 free with the promo code SGPN. That's Kalshi, Kalshi, promo code SGPN. So do that and let it ride.
This is Jim Mora, and you're listening to SGPN. Let it ride.
Welcome to the college baseball experience. Big 12 2026 conference preview episode, youtube.com/the college experience. Get on over there, hit that like and subscribe button. Fun. Hopefully you caught our ACC and SEC previews. Those are out there. And obviously the season about to go in full swing in about 2 weeks here. So hit that like and subscribe button. Tell a friend because we're just getting started. And excited to talk Big 12 baseball here. If you're wondering who the hell you're listening to, that is fair. My name is Colby Swinging Database Dan, a.k.a. Pick Dundee. That's how to pick. This is a pick.
He was raised in the land down under, where a man thinks on his feet, speaks with his fists, and lives by his wits.
When Dundee happened, he was a superstar.
Nobody knows nothing. Somebody knows. Double the price. But no one touches Dundee.
Oh, yeah. What do I call this now? I mean, some people joke around and say the truck stop conference. Right? I'm all on board. I know there's 16 teams in the 12 or 15 in this case, but I love this new Big 12. Football, basketball, baseball, don't make a difference. Sign me up. I am joined by my co-host. He is also the host of the College Basketball Experience, which you need to check out. Daily picks for every single game, but he's been holding it down here and kind of the heartbeat of this show. Not kind of, actually, is the heartbeat of this show. Give it up for the great Noah Bieniek. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great, Colby. Consider the heartbeat like not pumping at full speed because I think I held up the show for about 15 minutes from the start time today. Not normally as prepped with the Google sheet, but we've got the diamond report,
business, buddy. That's called show business. All right, you arrive late and you say this is the way things are going to fucking be. All right.
Well, we've got the diamond report that we'll be showing off once again, so we'll be all right.
Yes, the Diamond Report, folks. You got to check this out. It's like the Phil Steele catalog. You can get it digital. You can get it analog. You can get it's fantastic. Deep analysis of all these teams. And Bieniek, before we introduce third man in the booth here, we just gotta play this.
It's Division I football!
Oh man, I thought it was. I'm sorry. Hang on.
It's Division I football!
It's Division I baseball!
It's Big 12! It ain't intramurals! You got 2 weeks after finals, you got a week in July 4th, and you got a week before camp starts. That's a month! That's probably more vacation than you guys get. And we're a little bummed out that we don't get 3 weeks? Go play intramurals, brother.
That was the great Dan Hawkins, but it fits for baseball. It fits for baseball. Too.
Everybody gets it in theory. Division I baseball. It's the Big 12.
Yes, I love that drop. Look, we're also joined by third man in the booth. He is the host of the Head First podcast, and he knows the lay of the land well because he is a Cincinnati Bearcat alum. Give it up for JP Sponseller. How are you, brother?
Pretty good. I am pumped to talk about my Bearcats a little bit tonight. Pumped to talk about the Big 12. Probably my personal favorite conference to follow in this sport as well as others. So I'm fired up about it.
Hell yeah, man. I mean, in general, just we've seen the sport change and just college sports change. I know it was a major hit to lose Texas and Oklahoma, even though, if you're talking to me and if we're off air, actually not even off air, on air, I kind of hate Texas. I've always hated Texas because they're like the gal that you're dating that's just never happy, right? It doesn't matter what restaurant you go to. They're just going to bitch, right? They're just going to bitch. But what do you make of the new Big 12 before we dive into it? I mean, look, obviously Colorado should have a baseball team. Hello, Deion Sanders is your football coach.
Yeah.
Might be a good idea to start the baseball program. But aside from that, you bring in Arizona State, Utah, BYU, and then previously, or I guess BYU came at the same time as Cincinnati and UCF. But what do you make of the Bieniek? And I'll start with you, like this new alignment of teams and how the baseball has been.
Well, I'll say the two teams that they lost were definitely big losses, and no offense to JP and Cincinnati, but like Cincinnati, Houston, BYU, Utah, UCF, all of them. I would say, I'm not quite sure all of them or any of them are baseball first or baseball strong per se. So I definitely think it got a little bit weaker just on national brand. But I do think that the Big 12 is positioned well moving forward in this day and age of college athletics, because the Big 10 is not, serious when it comes to baseball. So, they still have their hands in a bunch of other pies and different sports like hockey, for instance, that not a lot of baseball schools have. So yeah, it's really the Big 12's got the third chair. And last year they had plenty of bids. They had a couple of super regional teams. They had a College World Series team that, was kind of right in the mix the entire year, but I wouldn't say they were necessarily the preseason favorite or, the favorite going into the NCAA tournament of the Big 12 teams to make the furthest run. So I think the league's strength is the league is strong. TCU and Texas Tech, both on the thumbnail, both of them had huge decades in the 2010s with trips to Omaha. So those are still two of your strongest brands, and they're going to be, I think, quite good this year. Oklahoma State's always usually got a really high floor. JP, your thoughts on Big 12?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's tough to adjust after losing teams and programs like Oklahoma and Texas for sure. But you said bringing in Arizona and Arizona State from the Pac-12, two really good baseball programs, very consistent. Arizona State maybe not as much as of recent compared to Arizona. And then I feel like my Bearcats have been a little bit of a surprise team. I mean, they've really kind of kickstarted that program since joining the Big 12, which has been exciting to watch. There's a lot
Fantastic
more energy.
hire.
Yeah, great hire. There's a lot more energy in that program and from the fan base than there was a few years ago. And then, teams like Houston and UCF, who I feel like haven't really reached their full potential yet in the Big 12. I think there's still a little bit more in there. So, I, as a member of the American Conference, it's been fun to kind of watch those teams merge over into the Big 12. And it's been a fun ride, and I'm excited to see how 2026 goes.
Yeah, me too, man. Me too. So let's start things off. Once again, youtube.com/the college experience. You can check this show out visually, but if you're listening on the audio side, that's okay too. Let's start off with one of last year's great stories, I guess. I mean, Bieniek, didn't you call for this one?
They were my favorite value shot to win the College World Series. So I wouldn't say they were my preseason pick to win the national championship, but they were probably my flag plant of last year. So it worked out well. Yes,
and that is the Arizona Wildcats. Chip Hale has done a pretty good job there, man. 36 wins last year, second most. 44 wins last year. That was the most in his tenure. I'm sorry, I was looking at the Pac-12, his Pac-12 tenure. So right there, great upside there. And when you look at this Wildcats team, they do lose a lot from last year. Mason White, Brendan Summerhill, Aaron Walton, all on the batting side of things. Casey Hintz, pitcher they lose, and also Raul how do I pronounce this name?
Hold on, I gotta. Where are we at?
Garazar?
Oh yeah, Raul Garazar. Yeah. Sorry.
Okay. Is that Raul or Raw?
Yeah,
I had a dentist
Raul.
named Raw before. So
I think we talked about this last year too on that specific name.
Yeah, I mean, I would do my dentist. I came in there thinking it was Raul, and like I've got humbled really quick. It's because it was like I have a friend of a friend too. It's like you gotta see my dentist. So I came in there. I was like, "Hey, Raul, how you doing?" Okay. I called him Raul for like the first 5 times and had no idea it was Raw. What do you make of this Wildcats team, Bieniek?
Yeah, so I also want to add, last year I was lucky enough to see Arizona 5 times. I saw them 3 times in opening weekend. They didn't win a game. And then I saw them twice in Omaha, and they didn't win a game. So maybe I was their bad luck
despite being your your number one pick for value, you put it on them, man.
Yeah, I put a spell on them or whatever. When I was in the building, they got beat. And yeah, that first weekend it was not good. I was like, oh, I might have been really wrong on this, but no, they figured it out throughout the year, and their offense early on kind of slumped and really didn't find the consistency until the back half of the season. But the pitching staff was very strong, and I attribute a lot of that to the coaching staff on the pitching side. You look at Kevin Vance, who was like the associate head coach and the pitching coach, John DeRoyan, who was the analytics guy. He came in from Boston College. And then there was another guy that worked under them named Owen Cuff. All 3 of them, unfortunately, have left the program within the last 7 months. It's been quite a turn of events for Arizona baseball fans, as Vance is now the new head coach at San Diego State. DeRoyan took a job, I believe, in the MLB with the Mets, and then Cuff also grabbed a player development job at the MLB. So they go out and they hire Sean Kenny, who is the former Iowa pitching coach. Iowa has also a very good pitching staff most years, but he was relatively new with the Hawkeyes. So a lot of their success can't be attributed to him too much, but he's a veteran in the college coaching game, specifically with pitchers. And I think the talent on the pitching staff for Arizona State, or for Arizona, for Arizona is very good. Once again, like you look at Owen Kramkowski and Smith Bailey, that's one of your best 1-2 punches in the Big 12. Colin McKinney was the opening day starter last year for Arizona. He may be the closer now. He was a little erratic, had 35 walks last year, but still plenty of he's got good stuff. Luke Flata, another kind of like stuff and pitch to contact arm rather than blow somebody away. He's a transfer from Tulane who probably fills in that role, that open spot in the weekend rotation. But the relievers are also really good. Tony Pluta was a national stopper of the year. Colby, funny story. I ran into him at the casino just across the Omaha border in Iowa, and they were there for 2 days. As I mentioned, they went to and barbecue, and he was out there spending his per diem at the casino because there was nothing else to spend it on. They were leaving the next day. So that's my guy. That's our guy. Degen at heart, Tony Pluta, Garrett Hicks, also very solid. So I like Arizona's pitching staff. JP, kind of rebuilding the offense, which was what made me really confident in their floor last year, because Arizona always hits. Are they going to replenish in your eyes?
I think it's going to be pretty tough to do what their offense did last year, given at what we're looking at least on paper. But I will say, I think there's opportunity for some of these juniors coming in this year to take that jump from their sophomore year. Talking about those guys coming back, I think Andrew Kane has a big potential to do that. The first baseman, he hit 247 last year with 6 home runs. Maddox Mahalakis, not sure if I pronounced that one right. I'm sure I didn't.
Yeah, we're rusty, knocking off the rust.
He hit 278 last year with 5 home runs. And then Easton Brayfogle, another guy who had a lot of playing time last year, hit 244 with 5 home runs. Definitely going to be tough to replace a bat like Mason White and some of those others. They look to the portal a little bit. They're bringing in a catcher from Oklahoma State, Bo Sylvester, who didn't get a ton of at-bats last year, hit 233 there. You can always look for him as a guy to make a jump as he gets some more plate appearances there. And then the transfer from Milwaukee, Tyler Bickers, put up a 369 season last year with 4 home runs. So I believe they're going to be looking to him to kind of be a very experienced bat in that lineup as their second baseman.
Arizona, man. So tell me what you think about their arch rivals, the Sun Devils. Willie Bloomquist, I remember him, Seattle Mariners, right? Had his best season, right, in Tempe a season ago. 32-26, 17-13 within the Big 12 there. They did take some hits, but look, Isaiah Jackson, Matt King, Kyle Walker, Keen View, all gone. Also on the pitching staff, the Ben Jacobs, Jack Martinez gone as well. Bieniek, didn't they invest a bunch of money in their baseball program this offseason?
Yeah, they are one of the few that have publicly announced that they funded 34 full roster spots this year with scholarships. So if you're looking around saying which is the transfer portal team that could click if everything goes right, I know Texas Tech got a ton of buzz on the gridiron for that. Arizona State's got their fair share of question marks, don't get me wrong. But Arizona State could be your football version of Texas Tech here on the diamond.
Interesting. So what do you make of the team this year? Because I feel like the program's improving, but this is kind of a big year for them then, right?
Super big year. Yeah. Last year I thought was, it was prove it or lose it for Willie Bloomquist. And I still, honestly, I thought they still underperformed with the roster that they had. It was a very talented group last year. They had I think 9 draft picks. And that don't come around often. And I mean, it fell all on the pitching side of things, or their lack of success on the bump. And once again, I think it's going to rely on the pitching once again for their success this year. They're taking quite a few chances, with the transfers coming in. You look at Colby Guy, who only threw 16 innings at UNC Asheville last year. He could earn a starting rotation spot in the starting rotation this year. You look at Brady Loke. I don't think I drilled that either, but he comes in from Florida State, only threw 11 innings last year and had a little bit of control issue, and that's why you didn't really see the bump for a really weak bullpen in my eyes for the Seminoles last year. So there's some question marks there. Cole Klecker was a freshman on the TCU Omaha team, and dealt with some injuries, he kind of got hit around last year in the few outings that he did have out there. And then Cole Carlone's going to be your ace this year. Last year as a reliever, mainly, he appeared in 29 games and had 4 saves, 86 strikeouts in 54 innings. Like, this is a premier arm, but he hasn't started games. He's got to show us that ability to go out there on Friday nights, shut the opposing offense down, and make sure that Arizona State's offense, which I think will be good this year, they can score 7 or 8 runs. They just can't give up 10 like they were doing in Big 12 matchups a lot last year. So, JP, tell us about this offense that is really going to be boosted by the transfer production that replaces a lot of what they lost last year.
Yeah, I think just talking about Arizona, they are going to have to rely on the lineup to step up, and I think the pitching is going to be really good. I think we might see the flip side over here. I think the pitching, like you said, a lot of question marks. I think the lineup you can trust on what's coming in, but again, it's a lot of new pieces to the puzzle. Starting with the transfers, you have Dominic Smaldino from Cal, Austin Relig from Utah, PJ Mutsaridis from Cal, Sam Myers from TCU, Dean Toigo, who put up a huge year at UNLV last year, and then Garrett Michelle from Virginia Tech. But let's go back to who you have labeled, and the Diamond Report has labeled as the X factor of this team, Landon Hairston, who's coming off a monster freshman year, hit 335 last year, and from watching him play, just looked very mature as a freshman in the box. So there's no doubt for me that you're going to see those power numbers increase a little bit, and I think he's really going to he's going to have to be the X factor as you've listed to this team in this lineup.
Yeah, and Colby, if the name sounds familiar, yeah, great bloodlines, related to Jerry Hairston and
Of course.
Scott
Yeah.
Hairston, who played 11 years in the MLB. So, this kid's he's got a great pedigree coming from a baseball family, and last year had a terrific freshman year, hitting .335 with 4 bombs, and we're expecting a big step up from this kid, and he's really going to have to lead from the front, I think, because that offense is going to have to carry the weight for the Sun Devils this year.
Well, if you're talking big step up, the Baylor Bears and Mitch Thompson kind of had a breakthrough season last year, right? I mean, like, I don't want to say like unbelievable run, but at the same time, when you look at his tenure in Waco, 20 wins in year 1, 22 in year 2, 33 last season. Can they continue moving this program forward? They were 20. I mean, overall 22 and 31. But wait, am I misreading this?
No, 33 and 22 overall.
Okay,
so maybe the page wasn't updated, but yeah, like 33 and 22. It was a big step up. You're right. Like that was their best year up until this point.
Yes, they lose Wesley Jordan off that team and Tyreek Kemp as well. Gabe Craig off they lose some pitchers and Bryson Bales, Gabe Craig and Carson Bailey, who was kicked off the team for some legal issues that he had.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah. I don't want to dive into that one. Can that continue? Can Mitch continue to grow? Because look, improved 2 years, 2 wins in this first year, or first to second year, 11 wins from the second to third year. Do they got something going there in Waco, Bieniek? What do you think?
Yeah, I really do believe in what they're building in Baylor, and we saw it for glimpses last year. Specifically, I made some money on Baylor betting them in the non-conference, and it's because they made some big-time strides on the mound. Like you talked about, Carson Bailey, who unfortunately they lost, but he was their ace last year. Ethan Calder's back, and he was really good too from the left side. And I attribute that a lot to the pitching coach, Sean Schnedeker. Like he comes in from Lamar 2 years ago. Lamar had like a top 10 pitching staff. And you saw it right away. This team was talented. They were throwing strikes. They were missing bats early. And they just kind of ran out of gas, in my opinion, down the stretch of the season. They go 13 and 17 in the league. They finished 10th. And a lot of that came to blame on the pitching staff that just didn't perform down the stretch of the season. I look to Ethan Calder this year to to pitch a full 15 weeks and put together a strong campaign in his senior season. I like last year, and I've heard another he's got what it takes, good bullpen arm for them. Charlie is another guy that they're excited about, a transfer from Dallas Baptist. And then Cade Hansen, he was on the Division III national championship team with Wisconsin Whitewater. He was unbelievable. He struck out 84, walked just 13 in 84 innings with a 2.68 ERA. I think he's going to play a factor, whether it's starting or relieving in leverage. I think he's going to be an important arm, especially from the right side, which this team's kind of lacking a little bit. The Bears, I think they're going to be feisty on some weekends, especially at home. They've also seen an influx in NIL and support in funds. Specifically, I think it was 2 weeks ago or something, the Magnolia group, which is Chip and Joanna Gaines. They put together a funding package and they threw a sponsorship name on the field. So Baylor definitely headed in the right direction. Mitch Thompson's like a lifer in the JUCO ranks. Not a lot of the transfers this year's portal class come from JUCO, but that's kind of his roots, and he's done an incredible job recruiting. So I think that at some point Baylor's going to be live. I'm not necessarily predicting it to be this year, but JP, what are your thoughts on the Bears this year?
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. Definitely, Coach Thompson's got this team moving in the right direction. I can't say that I am as high on the Bears as I am some other teams in the Big 12, or at least teams to make a jump and continue to make jumps. Starting with who they are bringing back, though, the second baseman Pearson Ryback. He had a 300 last year as a freshman. It's always a good sign to, like we just talked about with Hairston, count on some of those dudes who had a lot of success, a lot of confidence coming off their freshman year to make another jump. And then Travis Sanders, the redshirt junior, the shortstop, he hit 335 last year with 8 home runs or 6. That's 8. Yeah, no, it is 8. And then they're counting on some freshmen or redshirt freshmen as well, some new guys to make an impact. You got Brody Janasek coming in, as well as Hunter Snow coming off of his redshirt season. I think the Bears lineup and the pitching is kind of in the same boat. You're counting on some guys to really step up, and then you do have some guys that I believe you can count on. I think this is going to be a competitive year for the Bears, but if I remember correctly, I think there was 1 or 2 games that decided the second or third place team from 9th or 10th. So this league's always very competitive, and it only takes a few games to kind of put you near the top or near the bottom.
Yeah, good point. Specifically on, I touched on how Thompson's recruited very well. Brady Janusek was a commit at Oklahoma, and that was a really late flip, like in the summer, a little bit after the season had ended. So to flip him from Oklahoma, where he kind of saw that there was going to be a little bit of a log jam in the outfield, and I think he's going to jump in, play really right away, and I think he may play really well. I think that either him or Ty Johnson is going to be their best outfielder this year. So I really liked that addition from the recruiting ranks in high school.
There we go. Best of luck to the Baylor Bears. Look, before we get to the next team on the list here, want to tell the good folks out there that the College Baseball Experience, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Look, the Sports Gambling Podcast is giving out 60 bets for Super Bowl 60. And we have a free Super Bowl Squares giveaway with a $1,000 giveaway there for free. Just jump over there, check out Sports Gambling Podcast for the big game there. So do that and let it ride. We're also brought to you by Avo. Yes, make more money betting sports with Avo. That's AVO. Avo is the best sports betting tool that helps you helps you by spotting arbitrage and plus EV opportunities faster than the competitors. And they keep you organized all in one place. It's super easy to use and understand, but they also teach you how to, if you're struggling to understand those things, they have step-by-step video guides that in case you have any questions, and just sign up, pick the sports books you use, and let Avo tell you how much to bet. If you're still unsure, check out their free Discord at Avo Official. That's AVO Official, and see the success people are having for themselves. Get started today at avo.bet. Use that promo code SGPN for $18 off. Once again, that's avo.bet, promo code SGPN for $18 off. And we're also brought to you by Kalshi. Kalshi is a real money prediction market, legal in all 50 states, and Kalshi has a ton of trading options for the big game there, including sides, totals, props, halftime performance, Gatorade color. I mean, if I were to tell you guys how much money I've had on Gatorade colors over the past 5 Super Bowls, you'd probably not. Actually, I did hit one year, so maybe you would listen and tell a friend. But look, besides sports, I got a ton of other markets, including politics, entertainment, hell, even the weather. It's Kalshi. You can trade anything over there. New Kalshi customers get $20 when they use the promo code SGPN. That's Kalshi, KALSHI, promo code SGPN. All right, we are back. Shout out to Philip in the chat. Great show and analysis, gentlemen. Thank you, man. Let's jump over to the next team. Going alphabetically, in case you're wondering, folks. We have the Cincinnati. Why did I always forget BYU's in the conference? Why do I always forget BYU's in the conference?
Still new.
Yeah, but Cincinnati's new. But it's just What is it about that? What
You're
is it
just
about
afraid
that?
Of reading.
They were independent.
You're afraid of reading the names.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
Not,
folks don't
not many
don't
of them
know,
on the baseball team though, so you're good.
The Pacific Islanders on the football team reading
the Polynesians.
You need a couple shots of whiskey. I feel like when I'm a little bit more, if I do a couple shots of whiskey, I can kind of nail them. If I'm dead sober and I have to name the Polynesians, good luck. BYU, Trent Pratt, my favorite stadium. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. I will sometimes just Google image the stadium and just stare at it for like 10 minutes. And I go, God damn it.
If you want a nice hack to have a good and possibly viral social media post, just put a picture of the stadium online. It usually works.
Yeah, I got to cross this one off my bucket list 2 years
nice.
ago, and pictures don't do it justice. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, I got to get out there for that because that stadium is just too impressive. Trent Pratt, though, third season at the helm. He's 61 and 68 overall. 21 and 31 a season ago. 7 and 23 within the Big 12. But Bieniek, we've seen them. I joke around on our football and basketball shows. Check out the college basketball and football experience. But I joke around because BYU has endless money, and in the NIL era, I just said, they made the bigger conferences made a mistake not getting BYU, and the Big 12 I think benefited from that. Are they also throwing money into baseball? Have we seen that yet? Because in basketball and football, you've seen major commitments financially.
Their main focus, I guess, in the revenue sports have been football, basketball. As you can see by the portal class or lack thereof, it really hasn't gotten into baseball yet, and I don't know if that is their plan or not. But yeah, they're kind of a bottom feeder right now in this current version of the Big 12, and I don't know if I see that or signs of that changing. Because the league's strong.
Maybe when they get their
the bottom.
Maybe when they get the return on the investment in football and because it seems like it's happening in football and basketball. So maybe then when they say, hey, we should be doing this with all of our revenue sports, and baseball, I think, is one of the ones you can actually make money in. So last season was not the greatest season. They lose Cooper Vest, they lose Jaden Harris, two of the bigger names with what they lost. Bieniek, is there any way the Cougs, with that thin air there in Provo, can be a player in the Big 12 this year?
You just touched on it. The thin air is something, a lot of pitchers don't like heading over to Colorado and pitching for the Rockies because it tends to be a little bit of a launching pad. A lot of the ERAs and runs given up by the pitching staff, it's a little inflated for BYU, but I also think that also is a sign of the talent that they've got on the squad. I do like their trio of possible starters for this upcoming season. Garrison Sumner, Peyton Gibbler, and Justice Reiser, I think, are all quality arms in the Big 12. And I think that is a really solid trio in the Big 12. However, none of them have really seen a lot of success on the mound. Some of it can be attributed to the park. Some of it can be like, hey, these guys have really good stuff, but they just kind of struggle to miss bats. Like a guy like Sumner, a really good arm. Also, I've liked what I've seen from Gibbler, and both of those guys, less strikeouts than innings thrown throughout much of their career. So it's tough kind of projecting them to take steps forward when they're going to struggle at their home park pitching and containing the ball in the ballpark against other teams that are have honestly better offenses, because BYU with the thin air should be able to poke more of them out at Miller Park, and they just haven't been able to in the past. And I think that holds them back because the pitching staff's unable to keep them into the yard. So one arm to keep an eye on, Sam Hart. I talk about it a lot with the Purdue big men in basketball. Those guys are like gold if they hit the transfer portal, and Iowa pitchers like gold if they hit the portal. And Sam Hart, as a graduate senior, threw 13 innings last year, just didn't really get a chance to have a role. He had 17 strikeouts. The ERA is bloated because of the small sample size, but I think he's going to be all right for the Cougs. JP, what do you think of the offense here?
Yeah, I think as a Cougars fan, you can be somewhat optimistic when you see how many returners you have coming back to the lineup in today's day and age, especially looking at some of these guys' numbers coming back. You got Keani Painter, the DH. He hit 284 with 13 home runs. Riker Herdsman hit 337 with 4 home runs. And Luke Anderson hit 264 with 9 home runs, or 293 I apologize. So yeah, and again, you have a lot of these guys coming back wearing the same uniform with experience, which is a good sign. But again, I think some of these offensive numbers are a bit inflated due to that thin air and the ball carrying out in Provo. I think you can have some optimism, but in my personal opinion, BYU competing in the Big 12 in baseball, I'll believe it when I see it.
Fair enough. Next up, let's talk about now. I believe I'm correct. The Cincinnati Bearcats. JP, obviously you're a former Bearcat, and I feel like you should take over at this point. But they were 32-25 a year ago, 17-13. Oh well, when you have an expert on specifically for that, it's like, well,
let him grab the wheel.
What the hell am I talking about here?
Popcorn,
Yeah, Jordan Bichelle obviously did coming over from Central Michigan, did a great job. But I mean, look, the floor is yours, brother, on the analysis for this team.
Yeah, well, to start, you mentioned Coach Bishel coming over from Central Michigan, has done an unbelievable job with the team and the program. This was a team coming into the Big 12 that people expected to just crumble in baseball. When I left the program, talking about them competing on a national scale and getting at large bids was not a regular thing, and I believe that they're very quickly trending in that direction, which is awesome to see.
Wasn't last year their first at large bid since the 70s?
Yeah, first at large bid since I think the NCAA even came up with the idea of the regionals or whatever it was back then. Yeah, which is crazy to say in just year 3 or year 2, really.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to let you ride with the pitching staff. I will fill in some closing remarks, but you take the wheel.
Oh, okay. I think the team's strength is definitely going to be on the offense. I'll say that. But you've got one of the best aces in the league in Nathan Taylor coming back. He's a junior entering his draft here. And gosh, it's so nice to have this guy open up series for you and go out there and set a tone. Last year, he threw 87 innings. He really started strong in non-conference play. First couple of weekends in the Big 12, he was one of the best arms in the country. He had 91 strikeouts, a 3.93 ERA. And he's a really nice arm to have coming back for the weekend rotation this year. One of my favorite arms, Adam Buczkowski, a.k.a. Batman, as he finished up last year. This kid's just weird arm slot, low slot joker, as some may say. And these guys are tight to my heart, as that's basically my role when I played in college. And yeah, last year as a freshman, through 33 innings, had 44 strikeouts, 19 walks. I think he's going to be a pivotal part of the bullpen. And if they're going to be good this year, they need to have some depth in the pen and on the pitching staff.
Before you move on there, some insight on Mr. Buczkowski is I've heard that he added a few miles per hour to that fastball. He's running it up to 90 now from that weird arm slot. And the slider is from the staff, one of the first metrically rising sliders, which will be very interesting to see people try to hit that's this year.
Love it. So I'm a big fan of him, watching him last year. Carson Marsh is the experienced arm in that bullpen. He comes back after throwing 42 innings last year, striking out 51. His Sierra is a little bit kinder at a 3.67 than the full ERA at a 7.50 there. And then there's a couple of transfer arms that I think are going to play big roles, possibly in bulk in the weekend rotation. Logan Knight was North Dakota State's best arm last year. He struck out 68 and 83.1. He kind of fits that Bishel model of throwing strikes, pitching to contact. They allow your defense to play behind you. Dylan Schuler's right there with him. Transfer from Illinois, Chicago. He's a junior, threw 83 innings last year for the Flames to a 5.64 ERA. Brennan Eager is a UL Monroe transfer. Yeah, I mean, Jordan Bishel is one of my favorite coaches in the entire country, has been for a while since he was in my backyard here at Central Michigan, and I just loved their brand and style of ball. And I thought it could play well in the Big 12, and last year kind of proved that. As you know, it's a tough prep. They're going to do whatever they can to get a guy on base and bunt and have a chaotic offense, but they're also like they run on power too. They can hit the ball out of the yard, and they also, I mean, Cincy has one of the bigger yards in the Big 12 too. I think that's a little bit of an overlooked thing. So they've got more power than on paper shows. JP, how about the offense here? Because I'll say this. I'll let you go on the offense, and maybe if you touch on them, I'll add. But I'm really high on one of these guys.
Okay. To start, the guy who I'm predicting to have a monster year, he's kind of my dark horse to keep that Big 12 Player of the Year in Cincinnati, is Jack Natili. He hit 338 last year with 9 home runs and 14 doubles. He had a monster year in the Cape. I expect him to make another jump this year. I do think his stats and his numbers are going to be pretty revealing of how the people perform around him, though. Last year, you had Carrington Cross put up that Conference Player of the Year season, but he also had a decent amount of protection with guys like Jack and some of these other guys around him. I'd argue that the two X factors for this team in this lineup are the sophomores Quentin Coates and Derek Pitts. These are guys that didn't have a ton of playing time throughout the beginning of the season, but really started to shine late, both hitting home runs in that regional and kind of stepping up when the lights got bright towards the end of the year, which is always a good sign for confidence coming back for your sophomore season. And then Charlie Niehaus is a guy, one of Coach Bischel's favorite guys, because he was actually a recruit to the prior coaching staff, local kid, and I don't even know if they planned on him being in Cincinnati for a full 3 years, and now he's coming off a 280 season at shortstop, and they're saying he's actually got potential to be a draft pick this year, which they're expecting some big things from him. He also had 20 stolen bases. As you mentioned, they do like to get moving on the base pass and cause some havoc. And then one of the freshmen who I think this is who you're going to talk about. Yeah. We've been hearing a lot of buzz on Enzo Infelice. I still don't know how to pronounce his last name. I'm sure I will here in 2 weeks. But yeah, this is a guy who I don't live locally anymore, so I wasn't able to watch the squad a ton. But when you look at the exit velo numbers and the averages and all the fall numbers that they were posted, he was pretty close to the top in just about every week, which is always impressive out of a freshman. So I'm pretty pumped to watch him this year. And another guy who we haven't seen play a whole lot yet, who I did get to watch in the fall last year, is Ryan Taransky, who's expected to play first base a lot. Big, lanky, left-handed hitter, some juice in that bat with his length. And I'm excited to get our first glimpse at him this year.
Yeah, this is one of the final years that I'll really be able to enjoy Cincinnati. Not that I'll not enjoy them moving forward, but there's still some really good bones from the Central Michigan teams under Bischel here, like a guy like Christian Mitchell, a guy like Luke Sefcik, a few others that I'm not even naming, but just a couple of role players that were former Chips. And yeah, the Enzo Infelice kid, I am hearing extremely good things out of the Cincinnati camp. He's just a real physical catcher. And yeah, Natili's probably going to be the best player on the roster. So he's a little roadblock to reps on the field, but I think he's definitely earned that DH spot. Like JP was talking about, just all the stats that they've been posting from this kid have kind of blown my mind. And I think if he pans out, he'll be a really good player in his career at Cincinnati. So and Chicagoland kid, so he's native to the region, and I don't think hopefully they shouldn't have anything to worry about him possibly moving on. So I think that's a great piece for Bischel moving forward.
Yeah, another guy I forgot to mention, Cal Sefcik, who's coming off a big season hitting 290, finds the barrel a lot, hits the ball low and hard, and puts the ball in play a lot. Another thing to mention about the Bearcats, do not play TCU, Arizona, or Arizona State this season, which is another reason why I'm pretty high on them to finish well in the rankings here.
All right.
Good note. Very good note there. All right, let's jump on. Look, there's no Colorado Buffaloes, as I alluded to earlier. Flag on the play. As come on, I mean Dion, Robert Redford. I mean, come on, can you imagine Provo's? Come on, you got the Flatirons right there. Come on, like get a stadium, you bozos. I mean, they used to have a team. What's going on here? Bieniek, what do we got to do? What do we got to send you to Boulder? Talk to some people.
I got nothing for you right now, but yeah, it's kind of stunning. I mean, they've got an MLB team in the backyard too.
Come on, you're right there. You got a ton of money. It's like one of the fastest growing states, isn't it? What are you doing? What are you doing? You're dropping the ball.
I mean,
Buffs.
JP's located out there too. It would give him a nice home base.
It'd be great. It'd be great.
How close is Air Force?
That's like the baseball
closest
team.
one to you out there.
Yeah, I got to drive like an hour to either watch Air Force or Northern Colorado for Division Ones.
That's tough.
I mean, that's weak. They got to fix that shit. They got to fix that shit. I don't understand it. So Buffs, a flag on the play there on this. Next up though, we have the Houston Cougars. And I think we talked about it a little bit earlier, but their coach is a former Coug himself, Todd Whitting. 15th season at the helm, 444 wins, 338 losses. They were 26-28 a season ago, 7-21 in the conference. But like we touched on earlier, there's some optimism for the future just because you're in Houston, Texas, where I feel like that would be an easier sell. They lose a ton of guys off that team last year, but once again, maybe that's a good thing. Connor McGinnis gone, Brandon Bishop, Aaron Lugo, Kenneth. I feel like the J is silent. Jimenez,
yeah, probably Jimenez.
Yep. Yeah. And then in the pitching staff there, Grayson Drezik, Malachi Lott, and Brady Fuller, as well as Antoine Jean and Andres Perez. Bieniek, come on, man. The Houston Cougars. I feel like you're in Houston, Texas. You should be a force in college baseball. Are they on the right track, Bieniek?
So I want to be bullish on Houston. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get there in my rankings though. But I think they're taking strides in the right direction, and Whitting kind of acted in I guess his offseason moves kind of acted as if he is under the gun a little bit. He's been there for quite some time now. I believe he's entering year 16. Fired his longtime pitching coach and hired, I believe it was Matt Williams, who was the former Texas Tech coach. So I don't think that's a thrilling hire because Texas Tech's one issue over the last couple of years has been on the mound too. But at least it was something, and they're trying to shake some things up here because they bring a lot back on the mound. And that's where I think they should, if the team gets better, the improvement's going to be on the mound. Paul Schmitz, Chris Cinta, Alex Solis all had major roles in last year's team. All give this team a nice floor. All of them had mid-5s ERA. Schmitz and Cinta are both seniors. Solis is a junior. I like the experience in that potential weekend rotation trio. Kendall Hoffman threw 32 innings as a freshman last year. He also had a mid-5s ERA. Chris Perez threw 18 innings as a freshman. Richie Roman threw 40 innings last year. He's a junior. Got to work on a little bit of keeping some of the at bats, lower in pitch count and throwing some strikes because the walks were a little bit high for him last year in his sample size, but he did strike out 55 in 41.1 innings. And Diego Luzardo's also back. The one name they added was Tyler Bryan, who is a very important arm to the Northwestern State Demons last year. He's going to factor in some leverage innings, I think, for the Cougars this year. The offense, I think, is going to be all right too, JP. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's definitely, coming off of last year, there's definitely optimism if you're a Houston Cougar fan. Talking about who they're bringing back, let's start with the outfielders. Trey Broussard, he hit 292 last year with 7 home runs, and Xavier Perez had a 305 season with 9 home runs. And then they do look for 2 guys from the portal to make an immediate impact on this lineup. You got Antonelli Savateri from TCU, really cool name. Hit 295 He's a senior, so he's bringing some experience, also Big 12 experience to that lineup. And then Landon Williams coming in from Prairie View A&M hit 365 with 11 home runs. He will be behind the dish for the Cougars. So definitely looking at him to, one, bring some power to that lineup, but also some stability to that pitching staff. I'm kind of with you. I think you can be optimistic. I don't think you'll see that in my preseason ranking, but I would not be surprised if the Houston Cougars find a way to scratch more than 7 wins in conference play last year.
On that offensive side too, I'm really high on Cade Climby. He was a JUCO star who had the tough role of replacing Ace Reese, who transferred out to Mississippi State last year. Climby had a good year. Didn't hit for average. He was just hit 264, but he had some pop. He hit 9 bombs, and this kid was a JUCO star. Usually, the JUCO kids in year 2 tend to, really have great seasons. So I'm saying I think Climby's going to really step up this year, and I like the Easton Winfield get. That kid was a really good player for UL Monroe. His freshman season, sophomore year, transferred to Texas. Didn't get a whole lot of reps because that Texas team was really good. And I thought he, in the preseason last year, he was going to be a starter for that team. They had Tommy Farmer kind of have a really good year as a freshman, and he kind of took that role. But I think Easton Winfield's a guy that I think could have a late blooming junior draft year season. So I like him for Houston too.
All right, next up, let's talk about these Jayhawks. Rock Chalk. I mean, how about them last season? Dan Fitzgerald, in similar vein to Mitch Thompson. What is happening with this program? Ever since he's been hired, 25 wins in year 1, 25 and 32 there. Then year 2, 31 and 23, and then last season 43 and 17 as they went to the Fayetteville Regional there. I remember watching some games. I think this was regular season because I remember that stadium was on fire. I remember, did they have like a walk-off grand slam or something? I just remember watching a couple games where just
a dollar dog night where they basically sold out the entire park, and then they were down. They were losing the entire game. I think it might have been Oral Roberts in a midweek game, and they had a walk-off grand slam when they were losing 8-5. So that place was on fire.
It was that became like I feel like I tuned in a couple more often because of that. They did take some hits off that team. Jackson Hodge is gone. Derek Serta, Sawyer Smith, Brady Council, Michael Brooks. Those are all bats that are off the team there. But Cooper Moore, I think, was one of the bigger losses. Alex Breckenheimer as well. Bieniek. Can Coach Fitzgerald, in similar vein, like I said, to Mitch Thompson over there in Waco, can he continue to improve? Because 43 wins a season ago, can he beat that? Your thoughts?
It's a high bar, but I think everything that we've seen out of Fitz so far says that he can. He's really come on as one of the best hires in the this decade so far. In his first 3 seasons, he's seen improvement basically every year from this Kansas team, whether it be some finds out of high school or more specifically, this guy hammers the JUCO portal. He's got really good JUCO recruiting connections and roots there. And you can see it once again, just so many JUCO transfers coming into this team. So I have less and less questions entering each and every year as he continues to show us that he's able to do this. With the pitching side of things, Dom Vagley's back. His freshman year, he was fantastic. Last year, he kind of got hit around a little bit. And that tends to happen with some guys. Freshman year, they take the conference on by storm, and sophomore year the conference adjusts. Like, the scouting reports out there, they know what he's going to bring every Friday night, and I tend to buy back in or buy low on some of those guys entering their junior year to remake adjustments and kind of beat the league once again. So I think Vagley's going to have a nice year. He threw 96 innings last year at 89 strikeouts. Passes the eye test for sure. Cannon Carr and Manning West are back. Both of them started their fair share of games last year. Both of them in their fourth seasons of college baseball. And they also add Mason Cook, who as a freshman in the JUCO ranks did really well, struck out 54, only walked 19. I think he's going to have a shot to be a starting pitcher as well for the Jayhawks. And I love this bullpen, actually. Carter Fink is a really solid arm, and he was the ace for that ETSU team. Or I don't know about ace, that might have been Brady Frederick, but he was throwing on Friday nights, and Carter Fink. And he threw 72.1 innings, 448 ERA, 60 strikeouts, 19 walks. He's a graduate senior, gives them D1 experience in the back end of that bullpen. A name to keep an eye on just in general, because he's also going to hit his a bunch too. He's going to play first base as Josh Dykoff. He's a senior coming in from JUCO as well, has power in the bat, but also he's a power pitcher with a really good fastball. And last year he just walked 6 batters in 77 innings, striking out 79. So very talented player there for the Kansas Jayhawks. And I'm high on Kansas this year. I think they have a chance to bust through that ceiling. Last year they busted down the door, got in the NCAA tournament. They unfortunately went 2-in-barbecue. This year I think they have an even better year.
Yeah, I will start with this fan base. You talked about them. They also have brought me my new favorite hashtag in all of college baseball. They the name of their park is Hogland Ballpark, and the student section was wise enough to come up with hashtag Crank the Hog for their go-to saying over there. My new favorite saying in college baseball. I think this offense has plenty of opportunity to get the hog cranked quite a bit in 2026. Let's start with probably my favorite for the Big 12 Player of the Year, and Brady Ballinger coming back for his junior season. Last year he hit 353 with 16 home runs, and I think behind Carrington Cross, he was probably the close second last year. I think he's going to come out with a chip on his shoulder to try to bring that home to Lawrence. And then who they're also returning, Daniel Osaria, he hit 324 with 9 home runs last year. And then you talked about Coach Fitzgerald and absolutely hammering the JUCO products. He's counting on 7 of them to come in and produce right away here. I think that would probably be my biggest concern, and it looks like I would be in agreement with the Diamond Report here in saying that. But you just talked about it. A lot of these JUCO bats do come around in year 2, and you got a decent amount of them coming in and needing to produce right away. I know, Noah, you probably have some more background on these guys than I do, so I will let you take the reins on some of your new favorite JUCO bats to this lineup.
I don't know if I feel confident in picking out which one's really going to have a lot of success. I just know that I feel confident in saying that Fitzgerald's going to be able to figure it out. The one guy that I will confidently say I think this is going to be an everyday player throughout the year is Augusto Mungarieta, and there's no way I probably drilled that, but this kid was unbelievable in JUCO last year. He hit 392 with a 1253 OPS and 15 bombs. If he can bring half of that to Lawrence, I think he's a hell of a player, especially as a backstop where catchers typically aren't like your best offensive player. I think that Brady Ballinger is going to be that guy. I think he's going to be that dude. I think he's got a chance to hit 30 homers this year. And he's moving from the first base position to the outfield in order to open up that spot for Josh Dykoff. That's why I think Dykoff's going to be a big guy for this lineup too. So Kansas, I want to be bullish on them for sure this year.
All right. Look, I mean, Iowa State too. Party foul there. I mean, not having the. Come on, Iowa State. I mean, you got Field of Dreams shit going on. You can do some. How do they not have a team?
Know.
What's going on here? What the hell's going on
in
this
the
country?
name of Noah Darwin? Get a baseball team.
Good Lord, it's pathetic. It's really pathetic. Folks, want to tell you that the college baseball experience is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. And Underdog Fantasy has you covered for the big game. Choose a player and reveal, whether you've unlocked a gimme pack, followed by a boost builder tied to the big game. Underdog is celebrating by hooking players up with a bigger boost. Just submit a bigger entry to unlock an even bigger boost on the next one, all the way up to 60%. Underdog Fantasy. They got a brand new offer for new customers too. Play $5, get $75 in bonus funds when you sign up with our promo code. That is TCE SGPN. So do that and let it ride. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Rhythm has been crushing it in the NFL postseason. We got one game left, obviously, so why not jump on it? They're 2-0 in interception props in the postseason, 21-13 on rush attempt props, 6-1 on pass touchdown props. Jump over to Rhythm. It's super easy to sign up. You can run predictions off the house model, or you can make your own and mess around with those sliders. Looking to go premium? Use the promo code SGPN25 when you download the Rhythm app for 25% off your first month. Download Rhythm. That's RITHMM. Use that promo code SGPN25. All right. We are back. And look, Sunflower Showdown, if you don't know historically, that is Kansas against Kansas State. So let's talk about their arch rivals, the Wildcats. Pete Hughes, man. He's I remember when he was at the Hokies, Virginia Tech back in the day. 2 straight NCAA tournament appearances, 35 wins, and I mean, really, he's had 30 wins or more 4 of the past 5 years in Manhattan. I mean, that right there is pretty damn impressive. They do take some hits on the team. Maximus Martin, Seth Dardar, great names there. Gone. Keegan O'Connor as well, and then in the pitching staff, Jacob Frost and a slew of other guys gone as well. Blake Dean, JJ Slack, Tyler Roll, James Gayette. They were 15-15 within the Big 12 a season ago, and Pete Hughes has 168 wins in the little apple there. Bieniek, will they continue to overachieve?
I am kind of unweary about where I'm going to end up predicting them to finish this year. On paper, every single year, Kansas State is kind of overlooked, and I am guilty of that 1,000% this year. Pete Hughes is a guy that typically does more with a little bit less. And it's once again going to have to happen for them this year, specifically on the mound. There's not a go-to like number 2, number 3 starting pitcher for them this year. Lincoln Sheffield's going to be the number 1. He went 7-4 last year with a 5.45 ERA through 74.1 innings, led the team last year, kind of came on strong late as they really struggled to figure out the weekend rotation. They had plenty of candidates, just nobody wanted to take the starts. There was a lot of inconsistency to begin games on the mound last year. He struck out 70, only walked 19 in 74.1 frames. He's a strike thrower. He's going to pitch to contact, allow this athletic defense behind him to, play for him and get him through quite a few games. But I just don't know if the staff's really going to blow anybody away. Carson Liggett is probably your number 2. I don't know if he's necessarily going to begin the year healthy. He's coming off of Tommy John surgery. He's kind of bounced around in his career, but last stop he was at Louisville. And he's got experience, but also more of a pitch to contact arm, not going to miss a load or a lot of bats, I should say. And then there's just some also a couple of guys coming back to the team that didn't have huge roles on the team last year. And maybe it's a good thing that their role could be expanded this season. Like we talked about all those arms that they lose from last year. Frost, Quevedo, Rule, Slack, Blake Dean, all of them had talent on paper, just didn't really perform to possibly their expectations. You look at Tanner Duke, Miles Smith, Adam Arthur, and Dante Lewis, all on that team last year that didn't get a ton of innings. Maybe they're able to take a step forward in development and possibly deliver for the Wildcats this year. The one freshman that I like for their season this year is Sam Bettis. I think he's got a chance to play a factor in the bullpen this year and possibly start in the midweeks. But definitely, I think their strength this year is going to be on the offensive side of the ball, JP.
Yeah, I'm pretty optimistic about this lineup, starting with AJ Avasco. He had a monster freshman year last year, hitting .311 with 11 home runs. And then the third baseman, D. Kennedy, is another guy that I could expect to take a jump. Now, all of these guys are going to have to make an adjustment to kind of having their names circled in that lineup for a change this year, which is always an adjustment. But D. Kennedy hit 279 with 11 home runs. And then the second baseman, Shintaro Inoue, another really cool name, hit 279, 9 home runs. And they're bringing in Grant Gallagher, the slugger, the shortstop from East Tennessee State, hit 277 with 21 home runs last year. So I think there's a lot to like about this lineup. I think you're going to have some pop, a little bit of hit for contact. They're going to be able to do a lot of things. Definitely a team where you can potentially look at for some overs this season, given the pitching staff and the lineup. And they've never had issues hitting in the past. One thing I will say about Pete Hughes and this team is they're always going to do a really good job of playing a strong non-conference season or non-conference schedule to start their season. And they're going to be pretty well prepared for Big 12 play for sure.
Yeah. The one thing I'll add is just athleticism and defense. They're strong in those categories too. So Kansas State usually has a good floor. This year, I think I may get burned with where I'm predicting them. I just want to be a little bit more bold in some predictions with the Big 12 because you can get that way. I think there's a lot of opportunities in this league for teams to come out of nowhere and make a little bit of a jump like Cincinnati did last year.
And tying it back to Iowa State, I was just doing some detective work here. And in February 2025, Iowa lawmakers introduced House File 153, which would require both Iowa State and Northern Iowa to reestablish their men's baseball programs. That has passed. The bill has successfully moved out of the Iowa House Subcommittee. So it has moved along to the House Higher Education Committee. So we're through one hoop there. Okay. So perhaps the Cyclones can bring baseball back.
And if Iowa State does it, that may open the door continuously for Dallas Baptist to keep taking steps up. Because I think if you have an odd number of teams in the Power League, you'll want to add another one. So, and I don't know if Colorado is going to make that move, but Dallas Baptist get into the DFW even more with another private school there with TCU. Maybe they wouldn't be too excited about it, but that would probably be my go-to.
Yeah. That's pretty cool news though. Northern Iowa as well. So, yeah.
The Missouri
next
Valley's
up we
great
have
for baseball too. So that would be really cool.
Heck yeah, man. Let's go. I have a theory that we were talking pre-episode. To me, every college, if you're playing D1, you should have a football, basketball, baseball, and hockey program. All right, moving forward. Let's get that. Let's establish that.
I like it.
All right. Let's get that going. All right. Next up, let's talk about Oklahoma State, the Cowboys, man. Josh Holiday, 42-19. This guy has actually, it's interesting, man. Just looking at the, because I don't know if those numbers, 42-19 was 2024. Last year was 30-25, right?
Yep. They kind of had some inconsistency early on, figuring out some roles. They dealt with a lot of injuries too. So, last year they were 30-25, 15-12 in league.
Well, if you throw out the COVID year, which obviously destroyed the season in the middle of the season, right? That's the least amount of wins he's had. Like that and 2017, he tied for the least amount he's ever had in Stillwater. But if you look back at the previous 3 seasons, 42, 41, and 42 wins. So I think kind of a big year in Stillwater. Can they recapture the magic that the Cowboys and this proud program once had? They did lose.
Before you move on from the topic, I'll see that stat and I'll raise you. He's only twice, and I think he's entering year 14. Twice finished outside the top 4. Last year, and I think it was the 2017 year that you mentioned, Colby. So definitely a program that you can win when you're bold enough to bet on them. So, sneak peek, but I think I'm going to be a little bit bolder on Oklahoma State having a nice bounce back year this year.
Just the track record tells you so. So, look, they lose Nolan Schubart, Braden Smith, Ian Daughtry, and also Harrison Bodendorf was a major loss, and Sean Youngerman and Gabe Davis as well. But Bogerman, I'm sorry,
you combined the two last names.
Yeah. Was the one I think was the major hit there. Your thoughts on the Cowboys? It seems like you're buying in. How about them Cowboys recapturing the magic, Bieniek?
Yeah. Oklahoma State's got a really nice floor. Usually they kind of fell through it last year, but I'm going to blame a lot of it on injury. They kind of were all over the place and not necessarily playing with their entire lineup throughout the entire year. They were missing a lot of guys throughout. Weren't able to ever really get fully healthy. And Josh Holiday is one of those guys, man, where if he comes in like last year and they were the hands down, like one of the top picks to win the league, all the expectations around him, he doesn't necessarily reach them. But if he's kind of getting overlooked, he tends to outperform the expectations. And this year, I think he's kind of getting overlooked. And gosh, where did we have him in the Diamond Report? Noah Darling wrote it up solo, and he had the Pokes in 9th. I think I'm going to be higher than that when we talk about preseason predictions at the end of the show here. I'll let JP go on offense, but on the mound, they don't necessarily have the dog. Oklahoma State usually has this shutdown ace. Last year was Bodendorf. I mean, you can go back 10 years and they have one. Look towards Hunter Watkins to possibly be that guy. Last year, this guy began, I believe it was a midweek starter role, and worked his way into the weekend rotation due to some injuries. And I think he's going to be that SP1 for them this year. He's a junior in his draft year, threw 64 innings last year, struck out 70 with a 5.43 ERA. And if he takes a step forward, like they're really high on him in the preseason here, I think he's got a chance to be something special. And unlike other Oklahoma State pitching staffs, this one is going to pitch to contact this year. They've got a new pitching coach in Blake Hawksworth. And, Mario Pesha, he's a big boy. He's like, I think he was 6'7". St. John's transfer. His freshman year or sophomore year, he was incredible. And in the Big East last year, the Big 12, he didn't really have the swing and miss stuff, but he still was a really good pitch to contact pitcher. And their defense kind of kicked the ball around last year. And again, they were playing all over the place, weren't healthy, guys playing different positions, multiple positions throughout the year. So they've got a little bit of built-in excuse from me. Ethan Lund was a freshman I was super excited about last year. He got hurt. I think he's going to be a weekend starter this year. Let's talk about Hudson Barrett for a second, too. As a freshman at UC Santa Barbara, he was outstanding, one of the best pitchers in the country. And then he's just been hampered by injuries throughout the next 2 seasons of his career. He's a junior now in Stillwater, probably going to factor in more into the bullpen as like a high leverage impact arm there. But I'm a believer in this kid. I liked TP Wentworth out of Clemson last year. He had a limited role with them. That's why he transfers out, looking for playing time on both, in the field and on the mound. And I think he'll get it with Oklahoma State. He's a talented kid. Noah Wesh, as a freshman last year, pitched really well in 31 innings, had a 3.41 ERA. I'm once again like high on Oklahoma State's talent this year, and I'm high on the offense too, JP.
Yeah, I'm really high on the Cowboys to have a huge bounce back season. I think what you said about Coach Holiday being overlooked is kind of similar to what I said about Kevin O'Sullivan and the Gators on our SEC show. They just always seem to come out hot and exceed expectations. Talking about who they are returning to this lineup, you got Colin Ritchie, the junior outfielder last year. He hit 294 with 15 home runs. Colin Brueggemann, the first baseman, the senior, he hit 297 with 15 home runs. And then I think they're also going to look to Avery Ortiz, the shortstop, who got banged up with injury last year. I know they were expecting some big things out of him. So as someone who experienced injury, I'm always pulling for someone to kind of bounce back from that. And then Brock Thompson, who had a pretty solid freshman year, hit 238 with 8 home runs. I think they're going to expect him to take a jump in his sophomore campaign. And they bring in the bat from Ole Miss, Campbell Smithwick, the junior who hit 282 with 5 home runs last season. Again, anytime you're bringing in a catcher and a bat like that, you're expecting him to produce some numbers at the plate and both holding some stability in that pitching staff. But I think there's a lot to like about this Cowboys team, especially coming off a bad season. You're going to see them fairly high in my preseason rankings.
Yeah. One last name too. If you're rooting for a guy to come back from injury, how about Aiden Miola? I mean, he medically retired in the middle of last year dealing with back injuries. And then Oklahoma State kind of had a hole to fill. And he's like, you know what? I'll jump back in. I don't know the role that he's going to play. We have him projected as a starter on the Diamond Report. I mean, this kid's a career 314 a hitter, 930 OPS. He's got 15 home runs in his career, his junior season, as mainly a DH because of some injuries. He had 190 plate appearances, hit 10 homers. This kid, I think, has a chance to, if he's healthy, to be a good contributor for this year's team. I don't know if he's necessarily going to be a star, but he's got really good athlete bloodlines. His dad, Tim Miola, was like the goalie for the U.S. national soccer team. So Miola's got some pop in the bat. He was a good defender when he was healthy. So I'm rooting for that kid this year too.
Heck yeah, let's go. Next up, let's talk about another one that's been over the past couple of years, man. Just a very fun watch, in my opinion, and that is the TCU Horned Frogs. Kirk
Saarloos.
Saarloos, yeah. Done an unbelievable job, and obviously he used to play in the majors. But look, every year at TCU he's delivered for the most part, except 24, I guess, and you could still even make a case for that, considering what they were dealing with. 39 wins a season ago. Now, obviously, their best season was 23 when they went to the College World Series, when they won 44 games. But he's done pretty damn good job in Fort Worth there. And 14-16 in the Big 12 a season ago. I think obviously that's one of the things they want to vastly improve on. They lose some key guys like Carson Bowen and Anthony Silva, especially some great pitchers too with Luis Rodriguez, who had the Tommy John surgery. Braden Sloan, Cole Klecker, Cademan Parker, and Ben Albelt. But Bieniek, can the Horned Frogs that this has been I would venture to say, now, like I said, you probably watch more than me, but one of the more exciting teams over the past couple of years, I thought. Just even like in their losses, to me, it's just something about throwing on TCU baseball. Where these games have been insane over the past couple of years. Your thoughts?
Yeah, TCU has been one of the more fun programs to watch in the last couple of decades here, since their Schlossnagel days, where he took them to the College World Series a handful of times, and then Saarloos was able to rekindle that magic in 2023. So yeah, 2024 they entered with super high expectations, kind of got hampered by some injury and just some of those freshmen that led them to the Omaha that year prior underperformed and didn't do well when the target was on their back. Last year they were kind of overlooked a little bit. They performed really well, had some big breakout seasons from some young guys, and this year once again enter with some expectations. So they are a very exciting program, but they have some volatility to them. So TCU, I think, enters the year as the unquestioned Big 12 favorite, though. And a big reason for that is Tommy Lepore, who, probably is the favorite to win the Big 12 Pitcher of the Year come season's end. This guy is a joy to watch, kind of a real physical, a right-handed arm who threw 90 innings last year, struck out 88, only walked 27. Like, this is a big ball of energy on the bump who can pump it at triple digits with his fastball and is able to work the off speed off of that. Last year, one big reason why TCU, I don't know if they reached their ceiling, was because of Ben Abelt and his preseason injury. Unfortunately, they had another pitching preseason injury with Luis Rodriguez going down with an arm injury. So he's going to be out for the season. in turn, that creates opportunities for these young guys, and Trevor Baumler and Noah Franco possibly earning some starts this year alongside Mason Brassfield in that rotation. Brassfield last year came on late and was really good from the left-hand side. He had a 4.11 ERA, 67 strikeouts in 61.1 innings. Keep an eye on the trio in the bullpen of Cade Udy, Nate Stern, Tanner Seguspie from Cal Poly. That's a really solid trio in the bullpen, and I think they've got the best leverage set of leverage arms in the conference. And then a hometown play for me personally. I think he was the best recruit out of Michigan this year, coming out of Novi High School. Yuli Fernsler. He was passed up in the MLB draft circles basically because of some medical uncertainty. So that left-handed arm, he's like a funky at bat, a little bit of a 3/4 angle there. I really like him and his future that he has in Fort Worth. JP, offense is loaded, man, right?
Yeah, a lot to talk about with this lineup. Before we get into that, fun fact about Mr. Tommy Lepore was signed to the University of Cincinnati. Another baseball player we've talked about on this show that I did help host on their official visit. So just another note there.
There you
I may
go.
have I may have really fucked that one up because he did,
you didn't close the deal there, maybe.
he did sign and move with the coaching staff, so I'm blaming it on the coaching change and not my host responsibilities. But back into the TCU lineup. To start, I have this team penciled in as the Big 12 team to make it to Omaha this year. Super high on them. I think they're going to be the Big 12 champs. Talking about the lineup, you talked about the freshmen that they counted on last year, and they really performed. Sawyer Strohsnyder, he's a pick for potential Big 12 player of the year, maybe a Golden Spikes this year or next year. He hit 350 with 11 home runs last year. Super athletic kid, though, plays a great outfield, can also run the bases a little bit. Noah Franco, you talked about his potential ability on the mound. He really performed at the plate, hitting 313 with 11 home runs. A lot of power in that bat. Nolan Traeger, the catcher, also had a monster freshman year, hit 327. And then, a lot of other guys that are returning to this lineup. Chase Brunson hit 317 with 12 home runs. Cole Cromer, the second baseman. And then they also are bringing in a big first baseman, Rob Linnington Jr. from Incarnate Word. Put up a 360 season last year with 15 home runs. So, again, we could spend a lot of time talking about this lineup. They're all projected to do very big things. And, I think they're going to be pretty loaded, and I think there's some fun to be had in Fort Worth this year.
Yeah, two things from me. Like, a lot of people, I think, on paper will look at, Carson Bowen's gone. That's a big loss. Isaac Katina, they lost 2 catchers this year. I'm looking at it as I see the writing on the wall. Bowen, older dude in that locker room, he may have Nolan Traeger this fall. I heard this kid had a serious fall, and he could break out into stardom this year as a backstop, one of the better ones in the nation. So that's kind of how I look at it. As hey, Bowen wanted some playing time, didn't want to split time with Traeger, so he booked it over to Florida. And then the other thing, these offensive numbers on paper are no joke. Lupton's one of the biggest parks in America, so TCU is the real deal.
Let's talk about one of their rivals, Texas Tech, Timmy Tadlock. And look, Tadlock, Bieniek, didn't we hit on? So this 20-33 a season ago was his worst record ever in Lubbock. Yeah. I thought we had touched on something where they're that maybe they were not throwing money into baseball, but I was just doing a quick check on this. That seems to have changed.
It's changed a little bit. I don't know if it impacted this year's team as much as some may have liked. I think it will impact them moving forward. They did grab a couple of really good transfer portal bats, though, that we'll talk about in a second. But last year was kind of the ground floor, and Tim Tadlock had also been a coach that you could really count on in the Big 12 every single year. Had a huge run of College World Series teams in the 2010s, and Texas Tech is once again another program that I am willing to kind of plant my flag and be bullish on them this year.
Yeah, I mean they lose TJ Pompey and Damian Bravo, as well as Jack Siebert and Mac Hauer, Zane Petty as well. But still, from the quick research I was doing was that they were spending a lot more money on their baseball program. I don't know if it's going to show this year. Maybe it's some of the transfers they brought in. Maybe it's some of the recruits they brought in. But that's good to know moving forward. Talk about the team and what you think for year 14 in Lubbock for Coach Tadlock.
Yeah, so I'm looking it up real quick to make sure I got this right. So everything that I said of Houston, by the way, I want you to copy and paste it towards the Texas Tech pitching staff as well. Offense that had not their best year. They've definitely had some better years offensively, but the pitching staff was definitely the Achilles heel of the team. And, Tadlock lets go of his, pitching coach, kind of under a little bit of, I wouldn't even say it's a hot seat, but there was some uncertainty and, dislike of the performance last year. So if they're going to invest into the baseball program, there should be some changes and some progress made this year. Right. So they hire a new coach and it's Steve Foster. And this guy comes in from, I believe he was working with the Rockies previously. I could be wrong on that, but they're looking for a new direction. And I think this guy, his philosophy is very much, pitching the strikes, letting the defense also play for him because Lubbock has a big park out there. So the pitching staff this year on paper isn't very strong, and that's the biggest hurdle for me to get over when trying to predict how high this team's going to climb, because I am confident that Tadlock is going to get the most out of this bunch. There's not a guy that you can point to and say this guy's going to be the ace this year. Ryan Free is probably the most familiar name to fans. He was a weekend rotation arm a couple of years ago for Texas Tech, transferred out last year because he thought he was out of eligibility, and then the eligibility rules kind of reopen up, the JUCO years or whatever. So last year he played his senior year in Division II. This year gets a graduate year, comes back to Texas Tech. He's probably going to factor into this weekend rotation. The returners, Lucas Perko, I think he may have a chance to take the Friday night role. Will Jordan threw 19 innings his freshman year. Connor Mohan was one of the more relied upon arms last year as a freshman, threw 30 innings, but he had a 7.34 ERA. Logan Beavis is back as a junior, and Jackson Burns last year did not get much of an opportunity, but he was a heralded freshman recruit. They have one JUCO arm coming in that they think will be able to start, and that's Donovan Becerra. So he's in the battle for a starting role this season. And then Connor Schuss, we'll talk about him a little bit more as a hitter. I think he'll be a little bit more of an impact player for the outfield on this team, but he also has a really good arm and he may throw some innings for Texas Tech. But if I was to pick one name or say I think this guy has a chance to kind of separate himself from the bunch, it's Perko, with his ability to throw well and run it in the mid 90s there for the Red Raiders. So questions on the pitching staff, no doubt. The offense I think is going to be more talented and possibly allow them to play up this year. JP, what do you think about the Red Raiders?
Yeah, I think you can be optimistic about this lineup. On the flip side of that, I think you're going to be asking a lot of this lineup all year, starting with who they're returning. The outfielder Logan Hughes, who's coming off a monster sophomore season, hit 329 with 19 home runs. The DH Robin Villanueva, who's a grad transfer, but a grad senior, hit 368 with 12 home runs. And Tracer Lopez, the second baseman, put up a 295 year last year. And then they are looking to the portal here to bring some bats in, starting with the big first baseman, Hollis Porter from Maryland. He hit 300 with 21 home runs last year. And then Noah, you just mentioned it, Connor Schuss from Georgia Tech hit 265 for the Yellow Jackets last season. I think you never really can have a concern with Texas Tech putting up runs. We talked about the thin air in Provo. I think this is arguably the toughest place to pitch in the conference. Balls are constantly flying out of there from both teams. I think I just have a big concern with the pitching this year, and I think it's, especially in a conference like this, a lot to ask out of your offense every single weekend. And yeah, I could see where you could be bullish with this team. I don't think it's totally going to translate this year. But again, coming off of a very disappointing season, I think you can be optimistic as a Red Raider.
All right, next up, let's talk about the UCF very, very, very Golden Knights. Interesting time to be we kind of touched on it with the AAC teams that were coming over here, but Rich Wallace done a pretty good job coming in as the new coach after spending some time with Link Jarrett there at Notre Dame and a year there in Tallahassee. You look at 37-21, a season ago, 14-15 in the Big 12. I understand they had to run away from East Carolina, and I get it. But they've been playing pretty good ball since entering the Big 12. They lose some key guys though. Andrew Sundin there, Antonio Jimenez, Dylan King, just a slew of other guys too. Russell Sandiffer, Dom Stagliano, and Dominic Castellano, Wiley Hartley as well. But man, you look at it, I see a ton of transfer guys coming in. I'm sure you guys are going to touch base on this, but where you at with the very Golden Knights, Bieniek?
Yeah, so Rich Wallace is a guy that I was kind of high on. He was an assistant, like you mentioned, under Link Jarrett, and I loved Link Jarrett's program at Notre Dame. He was there the first year in Florida State when they really turned that thing around. Or he wasn't there the year they really turned it around. He was there kind of when they reached the basement of the rebuild, I would say. But Rich Wallace is a guy that I was looking forward to having them break out last year. So they hired him as they entered the Big 12 as kind of like their move to improve the state of the program. He goes 14-15. It was a very solid year. They make the NCAA tournament. Last year, I was like, this team's going to compete for they're going to be a dark horse to win the Big 12 title. Well, I ate shit on that prediction pretty good there. They go 9-21, and it's really hard to explain like what even happened to that team. A little bit of injury. I saw them in person. They were fantastic. They just kind of lost some steam down the stretch of the season, I guess is the best way to put it. But they had plenty of talent. So with Rich Wallace entering year 3, I think he learned that, okay, maybe blue chip talent's not the way for me to go. This year, I'm going to lean more into experience, and I like the roster. Everybody that is expected to play a big role on this team, senior, junior, 5th year, or talented sophomore. So I think you can look up and down, and I'll be able to point you to wherever and say, hey, I like the experience, or this guy's got some talent. I think it's a really good roster. I think it's a team that's going to be better than 9-21 and 13th in the Big 12. Who I'm comfortable predicting is going to take that step up is a little bit where I don't know. This is a big word salad from me. Grant Siegel, Matt Saucer, and Camden Wicker all come back in this weekend rotation. All pitched well. All of them, their roles are going to expand tenfold as starting pitchers this year with more and more innings. Kevin Schoenboom is back as a senior. Drew Bellis is back. He's a left-handed reliever who threw only 2 innings last year, but kind of has a volatile arm. He can run it up there, but also has to work on the strike throwing a little bit. I like Matthew Hale, the addition from Stetson, who was a good reliever for the Hatters last year, who I was really high on. And then Roman Kimball from South Carolina was a heralded recruit, and it's just never really clicked for him in his 3 years so far in college. UCF's got a lot of potential on the mound. I don't know if they're going to be able to find it. I'm much higher on the offense. I think the offense is really going to be able to swing it this year, JP.
Yeah, personally speaking, as a Bearcat, I'm not very too fond of the UCF Knights for whatever reason. That little football rivalry transferred onto the Diamond as well, and there was always just a little bit of bad blood. But with that being said, after going down there, playing there, seeing the campus, the facilities, if you can't, especially moving into the Big 12, put together a solid run of a few years down here, there's some problems because just given their resources, they should definitely be able to put up a better year than I think they did last year, and I'm expecting that out of the Knights. I think talking about who they're returning, you got Andrew Williamson, the junior, who hit 352 with 13 home runs. Diamez Ross, the senior, who hit 360 last year, and Braden Calise, the redshirt senior, who hit 300. They're looking to a lot of new pieces from the portal this year. I will go down the list here. Zach Skinner from Lamar, Landon Moran from Stetson, Caden Gaskin from South Carolina, Javier Crespo from Florida Atlantic, who put up a big 340 season last year, John Smith III from South Alabama, and James Hankerson Jr. from Florida State. A lot of these guys, being it kind of like you said, none that I don't think raised any eyebrows or made any big attention grabs in the social media space, but a lot of these guys with a lot of experience who have put up some solid numbers. And I think if you can put the pieces together and, like you said, find some stability in that pitching staff, I think you can expect pretty decent jump out of the Knights this year, and I think they'll be very competitive. Like you said, I think they were a lot better team than the record shows last year. That's for sure.
Yeah, and James Hankerson's the guy that I want to circle. His first year of college baseball last year, I mean, he was playing again behind a guy named Miles Bailey, who was a fantastic freshman, and their outfield was pretty talented, and that was a tough one to crack. I mean, they were a super regional team. He didn't get a ton of opportunity. I was surprised that he transferred out, and I think that's a tremendous get for UCF. And I was talking about everybody's either senior or junior or a highly, touted underclassman. Hankerson's one that I think he's got a boatload of power in the bat. And this guy just lacked a little bit of confidence because he wasn't able to get a steady diet on his plate when it came to plate appearances. So Hankerson's a guy that I'm kind of high on for UCF. And in one way or another, once again, the outfield's loaded. It's tough for him to crack because JP mentioned Diamez Ross, who led the country in average for a long time last season. Andrew Williamson's their highest touted prospect. John Smith batted 314 in the Sun Belt last year. And then Landon Moran's a talented first baseman who came in from Stetson, who was a regional team last year too. So I don't know where Hankerson's going to play defense because that was kind of the hole in his game, but he's a really good hitter. So I like UCF this year.
There we go. Jeff in the chat saying any chance I was taking bring back their baseball program. We talked on that. We talked on that in Colorado. But next up, speaking of like kind of bringing things back. Oh boy, the Utah Utes. Gary Henderson. Look, we were talking pre-episode. They are breaking in a brand new baseball stadium. I believe it's a $40 million facility there. Charlie Montfort Field. They have been for the past 30 years. Utah has been playing in downtown Salt Lake City at Smith's Ballpark. I guess a minor league team's affiliated with that. So huge news. I recently over the past couple of days, it seemed like a tour of the new stadium virtually, and I mean, that's some big time news right there. I mean, hopefully I like to see them investing in it. Obviously they were not the greatest a season ago, 21-29 for Gary Henderson. Remember, he came over from Mississippi State where he was the interim. I don't know, 7 or 8 years ago, I feel like. But you look back at 2024, the final year in the Pac-12, they won 33 games that season. Can they figure that out? They got the new ballpark. They got momentum behind the program. Sure, they were 16 in no, that's not accurate. That was from the year prior. 16-14 in the final year in the Pac-12. But they lose some key guys, Core Jackson, Merritt Jones. But man, I'm just excited to see them throwing money behind the program. They don't have a pro team. I don't understand why you wouldn't. tell me about these Utes and can Gary Henderson be the guy to get them back into the mix? Because look, I know we touched on BYU, they're arch rivals. We touched on the whole Colorado doesn't even have a team. These mountain states to a certain extent, not all in on college baseball. Maybe they can change that. Can the Utes be the beacon of that? Perhaps Bieniek.
Yeah. Like the way you could definitely attack this is of strength, like be an offensive minded team, and just hit bombs, take control of your home environment and own it. But the way that I see the Rockies and Utah and BYU always talk about playing at altitude in the thin air where the ball tends to fly is they view it as a weakness. And again, kind of just like BYU, Utah's identity is built trying to be on the mound. And Gary Henderson's had a really good, career at some non-ideal baseball jobs. And he's been able to do good enough at all of these jobs to kind of, be a solid program that'll jump up and bite some big time teams or make an NCAA tournament appearance every once in a while. He's trying to just enjoyed kind of the grimy jobs around the country. All that said, they've got one of the best frontline arms in the Big 12 in Coulter McAnally. Last year, he made 14 starts. They only won 4 of them. And that just, when you're built off of that and you have a true ace, you've got to win a little bit more of his starts. And a lot of it can be contributed to pitching injuries and lack of pitching depth. Because once he came out of the game, teams were live. They would be able to build these comebacks against their bullpen. But I loved taking Utah at plus money on the money line on Friday nights because they would always be there with McAnally on the bump. He had a 3.79 ERA last year, 92.2 innings, K'd 92, walked just 34. He's a very solid arm, and he gives him a good puncher's chance on Friday nights in the Big 12. The rest of the starting rotation this year is going to be built off of transfers. You're looking at Ryan Kittredge from Cal Baptist, a D2 transfer, and Justin Abercrombie and Caden Soder transferring in from JUCO. Soder misses bats at an elite rate, struck out 95, just walked 18 and 76.2. Abercrombie and Kittredge are more pitch to contact arms. Kittredge has good stuff, also struggles to throw strikes a little bit. So that's kind of the scouting report on all 3 of those. A couple of guys returning this year off of injury, Dylan Fine and Peyton Risk looking to take more of a step up in role this season. Risk was a starter last year, season-ending injury. He may have lost that job, but he could be a leverage arm in the bullpen for them this year. And I don't know if I'm very high on the offense either, JP, but some of the transfers are intriguing.
Yeah. Starting with the lone returner that hit above 300 for the Utes last year, and Cameron Gurney, the first baseman, the redshirt junior. They also returned Matt Flaherty, the senior shortstop. He put up a 280 year last year. And then they are looking to the portal to bring in some juice to this lineup. You got Nevin Noonan from San Diego State, the third baseman, who hit 357 with 9 home runs last year. Luke Jacobs, the junior college transfer, who hit 310 last year. And Jet Gillum, the NC State outfield transfer, who hit 276 last year, didn't get a ton of playing time there. I can't say this is my favorite lineup to look forward to watching the offensive Big 12 conference that it is. To your point, given the altitude and the offensive conference that it is, I would like to see them play into hitting for power a little bit more. As you alluded to, like you said about Coulter McAnally, though, if you got a chance on Friday nights, that does put you in a good spot to win a series always. And like we talked about how competitive this conference is, absolutely have the capability to sneak up on somebody. But similar to BYU, Utah at the top of the Big 12 in baseball, I believe it when I see it.
Yeah, Utah is more of like a mojo play. New stadium, maybe they have a little bit of an improvement in performance, but we'll see on them.
It seems like there is a little bit of momentum in that program, though, for sure.
Yeah. Colby lagged out, it looks like. I didn't even realize that. Let's talk about West Virginia, which I'm sure he wanted to be here for. The Mountaineers, as Mac from the basketball show used to coach there on staff under Huggins, and we're big fans. West Virginia this year or last year goes 44-16. They make a super regional. Unfortunately, run into the buzzsaw that was LSU with Cade Anderson and Anthony Ianson, but they were able to touch them up a little bit. The offense played well in that super regional. The pitching staff, which was pretty strong for them most of the year, let them down. I think they gave up like a combined 22 runs in the 2 games or something like that. But the offense didn't look out of place whatsoever. The pitching staff, once again here, their success stories, man, have been these D2 or JUCO transfer arms. You look at 2 years ago, their ace was a 5'9" lefty in Derek Clark, who pitched at Northwood, which is a D2 school in the Great Lakes area here in Michigan. And then last year, Griffin Kern was a D2 guy out of, I think it was Quincy, Illinois. So both of their aces, D2 guys, and they're really high on another one. Dawson Montesa, D2 arm. He comes in, transfer in from Adelphi, which is in New York. He struck out 105 batters in 72.1 innings with just 24 walks. He had an ERA of 191. He was excellent. Ian Korn was also really good. He's also a D2 transfer, a graduate senior who threw 84.1 innings last year, had a 181 ERA, 83 strikeouts, and 17 walks. That duo, I think, could be very sneaky in the Big 12 this year. And they also bring back Chase Meyer, who was just he has loads of potential in that arm. It is high voltage coming out of the right hand. He had a 3.94 ERA. He did much better when he got moved into the bullpen, and then he turned into kind of another force as a leverage arm there. He struck out 63, but he did walk 38 in 48 innings. David Hagan's also a more experienced arm for them. As a freshman last year, he threw 23 innings and was pretty successful in the appearances that he did have at a 2.35 ERA. The bullpen should be interesting. The one constant there is Carson Estridge. He had a very good year up until the last month of the season where he kind of fell off a cliff, but only 13 walks in 48.1 innings, had 48 strikeouts. And then Reese Bassinger is also back for the Mountaineers. They're going to be really good on the mound. I think they're a little underrated on the mound. And then they've got some talent returning in the offense. I think the X factor for this team is how the transfers, both on the mound and at the plate, hitting wise, perform for them this season.
For sure. I think they're definitely getting a little overlooked this year, especially based on the success that they had last year and just in general with Coach Saban's taking over this program. I expect them to be right towards the top of the conference again this year, just because of how much I do believe in the staff. I think starting with Gavin Kelly, who had a monster freshman year last year, hit 299 with 2 home runs. I think the guy they're going to need to be another mainstay in that lineup is the third baseman, Armani Guzman. He's a returning junior who hit 327 for the Mountaineers last year. And they do look into some of these mid-major bats who could potentially put up some big numbers here. You got Matthew Graveline, the catcher from Ohio State, who hit 288 with 10 home runs last year. Sean Smith from Georgia Southern, who hit 352 with 9 home runs. Brock Willis from UNC Wilmington, who hit 351 with 6 home runs. And then Matt Enoch from the Ohio Bobcats, who hit 387 with 3 home runs. Another thing just to point out, I know there's not a ton of home run or power numbers that are necessarily coming back to this lineup, but a lot of teams talked about Jordan Bischel and the Bearcats and their style of play. I think you kind of saw a shift in that with Saban's taking over, maybe opposed to Coach Mazey. They actually did a lot of good things on the bases last year, and just as far as playing team baseball and kind of manufacturing runs. So I definitely think that takes a lot of pressure off of some of these mid-major bats to come in and really produce, as you would say. I think just playing into their style of play is going to, like I said, take some pressure off, and I would not be surprised if they find these pieces to fit and mesh pretty well. Big year for another potential big year for the Mountaineers.
Yeah, totally agree. Unfortunately, Colby lost internet due to the snowstorms going on in North Carolina. Their infrastructure is not built for that. It's hilarious. He's been talking to me forever about it the last couple of days. And yeah, he didn't have Wi-Fi on Saturday night when we did the college basketball show. So unfortunately, we'll have to move on. And I'm seeing if I can get his Big 12 rankings out of him before we get off here. Because he's still able to text me. But yeah, West Virginia, I think they're going to be great. I don't know if they're necessarily getting the respect that they've earned and should get in the preseason here after back-to-back super regionals with two different coaches, Randy Mazey and Steve Sabins. I think they've proven that they can do a little bit more with a little bit less. And yeah, I know you mentioned him, I believe, but Armani Guzman, I think, is going to have a breakout year. He was really good in a limited sample size last year and had an excellent regional, kind of carried him through that regional in Clemson. And I think Guzman's my breakout pick, and I love Gavin Kelly this year. So let's talk about the preseason predictions. Big 12-wise rankings for me. At 14, I've got BYU. At 13, I have Utah. 12, I have Baylor. 11, I have Houston. 10, I'm going to get burned, but I'm going to do it because I'm just not as attracted to this team as I am some others. Kansas State at 10, unfortunately. Then at 9, I'm going to put Arizona State. I just have a whole lot more faith in some other coaches in this league. At 8, give me one of those coaches in Texas Tech. 7, I have UCF. 6, I have another coach that I have more faith in than Willie Bloomquist. I have Cincinnati at 6. At 5, give me Arizona. At 4, I have West Virginia. At 3, I have Oklahoma State. At 2, give me Dan Fitzgerald in Kansas. I don't know who's going to be maybe their top performers out of Brady Bellinger and Tom Vagley, but I have faith that they'll be able to figure some things out as they have in the last couple of years. And then winning it, I'm going to go with the favorite in TCU Horned Frogs. JP, what's your 1 through 14 here?
Yeah, again, I think this is one of those things that the more you try to think about, the harder it is and really just racks your brain. Again, Noah, honestly, while I'm listing this, pull up the Big 12 standings and let's find out how many games determined the difference between 2nd and 10th place or whatever it was. But while you're looking that up, I will rattle this off. 14th, I have Utah. 13, BYU. At 12th, I have Houston. 12th, I have Baylor. 11th, I have Houston. 10th, I have Texas Tech. 9th, I have UCF. 8th, I have Kansas State. 7th, Arizona State. 6th, Arizona. 5, Kansas. At 4, Oklahoma State. At 3, call it a homer pick. They got a good draw on the schedule. Give me Jordan Bishel to exceed expectations again. Give me the Bearcats at 3. And at 2, give me the West Virginia Mountaineers. And at 1, I'm also going with my favorite, sticking with my guns, my Omaha team, the TCU Horned Frogs.
So the top 8, first place to 8th place was a difference of 4 games. 2nd place to 8th place was a difference of 3 games. 3rd place to 8th place was a difference of 2 games. So
there you go. You're gambling your 8th and 2nd place on the matter of one weekend.
Yeah, Big 12, man. Whether it be football or baseball or honestly basketball, they've got more, a little bit more of separation this year than we're used to. But yeah, I mean, it's one of the more entertaining leagues because of some of the parity that we get week in and week out in any sport.
I've also grown fond of the fan bases in the Big 12 as I've interacted with a few more of them. Obviously,
Okay.
a lot of just big name schools and programs of all sports that have been around for a while. And yeah, it's been, if you have not gotten into watching Big 12 sports, maybe this year is your year to tune into some Big 12 baseball.
Yeah, for sure. Colby just sent me his 1 through 14, so we delayed long enough. BYU at 14 for him, Utah at 13. He's got UCF at 12, Houston at 11, Kansas State. He agreed with me there on the Wildcats at 10. Also, Arizona State at 9. He's got Baylor at 8, taking a climb up a little bit there. He's got West Virginia at 7, falling back down a little bit. Arizona at 6, Cincinnati at 5. Texas Tech at 4, Kansas at 3, TCU at 2, and he's got the Oklahoma State Cowboys back on top in the Big 12. Trusting Josh Holiday and the pedigree and the track record there, and being able to, outperform some preseason expectations when maybe they're not heavily placed upon them. Let's talk sleeper team and bust team, and I just closed – dang it, the Big 12 standings that you asked me so kindly to pull up. And we usually use these to base our sleeper and disappointment teams off of. So West Virginia won the league last year at 19-9, controversially with two less games played. They had a weekend canceled due to weather against Oklahoma State nonetheless. So they won the league last year. Kansas was second. TCU was third. Arizona was fourth. Arizona State was tied for fourth. Kansas was sixth. Oklahoma State was seventh. Cincinnati was eighth. Texas Tech was tied for ninth with Baylor. Houston was 11th. BYU was 12th. UCF 13th. And Utah 14th. I think that my highest step up, my sleeper / bold prediction, however we want to label these, is going to be UCF. I picked UCF 7th. And they finished 13th. I could have went Oklahoma State, but I'll go UCF. They're the larger jump up. JP, how about you?
Yeah, I was also going to go UCF as my big jump. I'll also throw up Oklahoma State. I know they still finished middle of the pack, but definitely expect them to have a bounce back year. And also, I'll throw in, since I have the Bearcats finishing third,
Yeah.
got a good draw in the conference. I'm expecting them to finish a little bit higher and continue to make some jumps.
The disappointment or letdown team for me, I got to do it, unfortunately, and it's going to be Arizona State. They finished tied for fourth last year. I have them ninth. Just a little bit less talented offensively. Sure, it's still going to be a very good offense, but I think on the mound they have more questions than they did last year, and that's saying something. So I have Arizona State as the disappointment. JP, how about you?
I can't be super confident in any of these, especially just looking at how the rankings finished out last year. But I'll say my biggest potential faller for this season is the Arizona Wildcats coming off of their Omaha year. With that being said, I'm a huge believer in Chip Hale. I think they have one of the best 1-2 pitchers in the conference. Yeah. But I do think if you don't get the production that you're expecting out of that 1-2, there could potentially be some issues.
Very fair. For Colby, his sleeper team is Oklahoma State, making the jump up from, I think they finished 8th last year. He's got him winning the league. And then the disappointment will be Arizona State as well, tied for 4th last year. He's got them picked 9th along with me. Kansas State was a close second there for him. He had them 10th. Along with me as well. We usually wrap this up with, how many tournament bids do you think your Big 12 is getting this year, JP?
Remind me again how many they got last year.
I think so. West Virginia was super regional team. Kansas lost in the Fayetteville regional. TCU lost in Oregon State's regional. Arizona went to the College World Series. Arizona State lost in UCLA. Kansas State, were they a regional team last year? Where'd they go? Oklahoma State was in Georgia. Cincinnati was in Tennessee. And Texas Tech did not. Did Kansas State get in, or were they left out?
They may have just missed it.
So it's either 7 or 8 they got last year.
Okay.
7 I know for sure. Question mark on Kansas State. 1 second.
I mean, obviously, I think it's
Kansas State was the 3 seed in Austin.
Okay.
So they got 8.
I think they get 8 again. Yeah, I'll let you talk. I think they get 8 again. I think you're going to see these teams. Yeah, I don't really have much. I think that you're gonna see similar to last year, and maybe a few different teams that were in that 8. But yeah, I expect it to be another pretty solid, fair year from the Big 12.
I think I'll land in that ballpark too. So I'm confident in 6 teams, and you probably agree with these 6 along with me. TCU, Kansas, Oklahoma State, Arizona, West Virginia, Cincinnati, I think are all tournament teams. I think Kansas State has a higher floor than Texas Tech, Arizona State, and UCF. That's fair, right? So Kansas State's probably realistically a 7th team that gets a bid. Although I do think they're probably a bubble team along with Texas Tech, Arizona State, UCF. I think the Big 12 has a chance to get 2 bubble teams in. So I'll say 8. But I think that's probably what I'm looking at. Houston, Baylor, also probably on the outside looking in of that bubble. But I think that's as far as I can stretch it. So,
yeah, fair.
Yeah. And yeah, that's going to wrap up the Big 12. You can follow JP on social media at JSPON, JSPON _590. And it's the Head First Podcast on Twitter, Instagram. They do great work with a bunch of different interviews and stuff. I was a fan of it before we did the pod. And then also JP's just a great dude. We met in person a bunch last year. And yeah, fantastic having him on the college baseball experience so far this year. And we're just getting started. The preseason stuff, we're almost done. We got the Big 10 left to do. We've got some mid-majors that we want to talk about. Omaha 8 predictions coming out next week. And then first, opening day and first weekend picks next week as well. You can follow me on social media at NoahB77 _. You can follow Colby at the Colby D. You can shoot the show a follow as well, and keep an eye on our football and basketball content at TCE on SGPN. Hit subscribe on YouTube. Follow us wherever you're listening to this on podcast platforms, whether it's Spotify, Apple, etc. This has been the College Baseball Experience. You better start thinking about yours. And we are out of here.